tons of articles. The Black Caucus put up that article where it was talking about Russian trolls created fake profiles to impersonate black activists. And it was always, y'all remember, it was always this murky thing we believe. Remember Angela Ross said, she whispered to somebody real low. She said, what about ADOS? She said, well, I think they Russians. What, Angela? I think they sponsored by the Russians. It turns out the people that y'all were in bed with, that y'all said were the legacy organizations and Cobra and NARC, they were in bed with the Russian bots. They were in bed with the people who allegedly, the people who the Justice Department is saying that was being used by Russia. It turns out it was not us. It turned because well, how do you know? Listen, y'all can't tell me. Nobody in their right mind could tell Yvette D. Carnell that if they investigated these groups, and I'm finna get to them, I'm finna tell you about them. You can't tell me if they investigated these groups over here that they did not investigate me and Antonio. You can't tell me no other way. If the Justice Department found out that there are and was investigating one reparations group, you can't tell me they didn't investigate all of them. You can't tell me they didn't go through my emails, go through my accounts, go through my flights, and try to figure out whether this was widespread or whether it's just them. There's a reason why there's only like, what's a few groups? It's like 3 or 4 different little groups that's been indicted. There's a reason why I'm not on that list. You're like, well, the government. No. Y'all thought y'all could play a game you couldn't play. So let's get to the nitty and the gritty. We're just gonna give you just talk a little bit more background about how everybody, tried to say it was ADOS. They are colluding with the Russians. Right? Let's just be clear about what the allegation was. They are colluding. We are colluding. We are Russians. All kinds of stuff. It was something. It was something to live through, honestly. Right? So that's the allegation. I just want to make sure. I know most of y'all were here. Most of y'all actually remember, but I just like to make sure because I like to paint a picture and frame the story. So that's what we were going through. Had all kind of little people come up and say this is what happened. Now, if you fast forward to like last year around this time, you had Cobra come out with a statement. Supporting the people who are now charged with colluding with Russia. And Cobra came out with a statement and was supportive of the people who are now accused of colluding with Russia. So here's what they said. Let's figure out what it said. These leaders, we are the organization. We have led for reparations for all these years. It should be us. Remember Ron Daniels. We're going to get to NARC because it's all of them. They all in the same little group. He said, well, they just need to, the ADOS people need to learn how to behave themselves and they don't know what they're doing. And we are Pan-Africanists and I am the elder in the room. You're the moron in the room if you thought this stuff was going to fly. But let's go to, y'all remember Cam Howard too? Do y'all remember when Cam Howard was still winning Cobra? Because in Conde, in that report that she did for Harvard, Shorenstein Center, talking about ADOS, if you go back to it, it's still up, even though it says retracted. She said in that report, she said there's good reason to believe or to think that ADOS is somehow aligned with Russians because of how they behave online. That was part of her, that she buttressed her report with that. Now, I haven't seen anybody come out and say anything about this prosecution. Everybody's mom. Bruiser is all the way in where Bruiser at? Bruiser is over there taking pictures of the Tennessee 2. He over there with a camera showing up. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm here with him. I be doing stuff too. I'm Bruiser. Let me just read you a little bit about this in Cobra. This was last year. I think, what was this? 2020. Does that say 2022? I think it does. Child, they had to come out with 2022. They had to come out with a statement. I had the Yahoo. The National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America stands in solidarity with Omali Y. I'm tired of y'all doing it. I don't want to mess up the name. Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, APSP. Stand where, friends? Where they standing with them? Y'all see where they standing with them at? stands in solidarity. Chairman of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement following the unlawful FBI raids of their homes and offices on July 2022. Now, I want everybody to just, let me come out of here for just 1 second. I just want you to use your imaginations for a second. And I just want you to think about what would happen to me if the FBI decided they were going to just raid and figure out, like, you don't even have, even if it was just an allegation and there was nothing about what happened, child, they will be hanging me out the whatchamacallit, and y'all gonna stand in solidarity. Okay, let's just keep going with who you're standing in solidarity with. Because you don't even know when to back up and sit down and shut up and see where the evidence leads you. You don't even know where to do that. This is a time, even if you think they might be right, let me sit down and do my work, right? And focus on my work and see what this investigation says. These are foolish people without a vision, and they're bastardizing this movement. This is what this shows you. Immature people who have gotten themselves involved in some ridiculousness with a foreign nation during a war. We wholeheartedly support their demand for the immediate return of their archives and electronic devices and compensation for damages done to their homes and offices. People they don't know what the FBI is and what they will do. While it is fortunate that the raids did not result in arrests nor criminal charges, you just gotta hold off on that. Hold off on that. We are keenly aware that in these times of COINTELPRO 2.0, the raids could have resulted in tragic loss of life. Now hold on a second. This is when you know. I'm sorry, y'all. We on Patreon. This is when you know you're stupid. Obviously, if the FBI came in there and took some stuff, obviously they're investigating. That is way too early to say there were no criminal charges. They are investigating. The best thing to do, even if you support somebody, let's make sure you have good legal counsel, right? Let's make sure you're represented by the best lawyers, and get somewhere and shut up, right? If you don't know what they've been involved with, you don't know their flight logs, you haven't, listen, I've gone out front early on and said, we don't have no involvement with no Russian, we don't do no Russian. So if somebody says that, it's like, no, Yvette said, we ain't got no involvement with no Russian. She ain't been online supporting Russia like these people been doing. She ain't been none of that, right? So only thing I talk about is the cost. Like, if you can pay for this, you can pay for that. America, and I talk about cost as it relates to everything. I don't just focus on Russia. See, y'all had telltale signs, but this is a place where you show that you're just not smart in terms of, these are your people though. I understand, because y'all basically the same people. Y'all are basically the same group. These NARC and Cobra, Uhuru, they're the same people. They're not even different groups. They don't really have memberships. It's kind of like what happens with the splinter group, to be the same 30 people, right? That same thing's happening here. So I kind of get it when you think about the fact that they're the same. Chairman Omalawa has fought more than 60 years to improve the lives of African people nationally and internationally. Now at 80 years old, his writings and organizing elevate him to iconic status of a living black legend, revolutionary for justice and liberation for people of African descent. We have no doubt he will remain in the front line until victory is won. They don't even define victory. They just say anything. That's the thing that bothers me about these Pan-Africans. They just say anything. Now let's just go on to fast forward to this week, and let's see what the Department of Justice has to say about it. Let's just see. I want to know what they got to say. My goodness. Y'all done painted us as Russians, and it turns out that y'all is the actual Russians? Allegedly, the Justice Department is saying that y'all is the Russians, and that y'all are the Russian puppets. It wasn't us. It was you and your peeps all along. This is like a movie, fam. U.S. citizens and Russia intelligence officers charged with conspiring to use U.S. citizens as illegal agents of the Russian government. Defendants sought to sow discord, spread pro-Russian propaganda, and interfere in elections with the United States. Well, now, ain't that something? Is not this something? Is not that? Well, let me see what the government says. The good old government. Let me see what they got to say in this little filing that they did. A federal grand jury in Tampa, Florida, returned a superseding indictment charging 4 U.S. citizens and 3 Russian nationals with working on behalf of the Russian government and in conjunction with the Russian Federal Security Service to conduct a multi-year foreign malign influence campaign in the United States. Among other conduct, the superseding indictment alleges that the Russian defendants recruited, funded, and directed U.S. political groups to act as unregistered illegal agents of the Russian government and sow discord and spread pro-Russian propaganda. The indicted intelligence officers in particular participated in covertly funding and directing candidates for local office within the United States. Oh my goodness. Well, wait a minute. Y'all were really, hold on. What they saying, it's all alleged, but it's alleged that y'all was stupid enough to go and have Russia have you do something and pay for some stuff too. So y'all was colluding and having money exchange, and you really thought you could do that in these United States of America, where everything is heard, where everything is viewed, where every email, right? Every email, every Zoom call, the government can have access. They got little things that's supposed to sweep off your floor that they listen in on. We already done found out that Amazon, everybody listen to your conversation. You gotta expect, ain't no privacy no more. And y'all, you Negroes allegedly really thought y'all was smart enough to get away with something like this. And the thing about it is, everybody accused us of being the Russians. So I think there might have been some kind of murmurings that, hey, there's a reparations group that's in bed with the Russians. Watch out. And the people who were really in bed with them, and Cobra, Narc, and they little friends over there, all of y'all was saying it's them over there. It's the ADOS. They the Russian bots. They ought to be ashamed. And it turns out it was y'all and y'all little buddies, and the people you standing in solidarity with. The people whose name, I'm going to show y'all that they have mentioned these groups by name in professional spaces. They have been with these people in professional spaces. That is a disqualifier. We're going to get to it, but you cannot expect to lead a reparations movement in this country, and you and the people who you are associated with, the people who you are in solidarity with, the people that you have pictures with, the people who you do work with are accused of being in bed with the Russians. There is no way forward for you to lead a reparations movement. It cannot happen. It cannot go forward. In Cobra, Narc, and Uhuru, and all these little idiots are poison pills to the reparations movement. It can't, they gotta sit out. Like, we have to push now to say, listen, y'all gotta get somewhere and sit down. You all are poison to what we are trying to do. Nobody asked you to get out of bed and do anything anyway. We didn't ask y'all to get up. Y'all was laying down. But now you gotta go somewhere and sit down, and you gotta get somewhere and sit down, because you all are poison now. So let me go to the rest of it. Additionally, in a separate case out of the District of Columbia, a criminal complaint was unsealed charging Russian nationals Natalia Berlinova, this sounds like a movie, with conspiring with an FSB officer to act as an illegal agent of Russia in the United States. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service allegedly weaponized our First Amendment rights, freedoms Russia denies its own citizens, to divide Americans and interfere in elections in the United States, said Assistant Attorney General Matthew G. Olson of the Justice Department's National Security Division. The department will not hesitate to expose and prosecute those who sow discord and corrupt U.S. elections in service of hostile foreign interests, regardless of whether the culprits are U.S. citizens or foreign nationals. What they're saying is they're finna make an example out of your dumb butt. That's what they're saying. They're saying we finna make examples out of these Russians and the Negroes who collaborated with them, allegedly. We finna hang y'all all as traitors. That's what they're saying. Among other illegal activities, the superseding indictment alleges that Ionov, I'm not saying that either, and Popov conspired to directly and substantially influence democratic elections in the United States by clandestinely funding and directing the political campaign of a particular candidate for a local office in St. Petersburg, Florida in 2019. For instance, the superseding indictment alleges that Popov expressly referred to this effect on behalf of the FSB as our election campaign, and Ionov referring to the candidate as the candidate whom we supervise. Ionov and Popov allegedly intended that this election interference plot would extend beyond the 2019 election cycle in St. Petersburg, and subsequently discussed that the USA presidential election was FSB's main topic of the year. You remember they accused us? We were the ones who were using the election cycle to suppress the black vote. No. It seems we found the real killer. Like in the OJ was, we figured out who is really allegedly doing this. This ain't me, this is DOJ. So don't put none of this on me. Moreover, from at least y'all been this stupid this long? From at least November 2014 until July 2022. Fam, ain't that 8 years? Ionov allegedly engaged in a years-long foreign malign influence campaign in the United States. As part of the campaign, Ionov recruited members of groups within the United States, including the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru Movement, collectively the APSP in Florida, Black Hammer in Georgia, and the political group in California referred to in the superseding indictment as U.S. Political Group 3. Who is that? To participate in the influence campaign and act as agents of Russia in the United States, including the following indicted defendants. And they have a whole list, child. We not go, well, we can go through some of them. You can just take a look for yourself at some of them. But they said that they got the Uhuru people, and they said they got they said they got the what was it, the Black Hammer, and what was it, the Black Hammer in Georgia, and the Uhuru movement. The Uhuru movement is a reparations movement. So I guess they got us mixed up. One focus of Ionov's alleged influence operation was to create the appearance of American popular support for Russia's annexation of territories in Ukraine. For example, in May 2020, Ionov sent a request. He stated was from Russia, the Donetsk People's Republic, an apparent reference to a Russian-occupied region in eastern Ukraine, to Shishushu and members of other U.S. political groups to make statements in support of the independence of the so-called People's Republic, a Russian-backed breakaway state in eastern Ukraine. Whew. Ionov later allegedly touted the FSB that Yushushu video recorded statement of support was the first time that American non-profit organizations congratulated citizens of the occupied region. Woo! Woo! My goodness. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. They had the wrong reparations people. All these are Narcan and Cobra affiliated groups, indicted. Y'all spent years and years accusing us of something that your buddies were allegedly doing. Show me one transaction with me and a Russian. Show me one conversation. Show me one conversation with Antonio with a Russian, being told what to do by the Russian. We serious about being self-led and not being led. We're not only not going to be led by white supremacists in this country, we're not going to be led by a foreign nation in another country. And thinking you gotta be dumb to think you could get away with some junk like this. And y'all remember, let's talk a little bit about your homegirl. Child, she thought she was doing it, and Ketchy thought she was doing it, honey. Now remember, let's go back here for 1 second. I want to go back here for 1 second and go back to this list. Now, you saw her. Now come back to the list. Uhuru, African People's Socialist Party, right? Go to that. That's the list. And the Black Hammer and some other people I ain't heard of, right? So go to that list. Now go here to they was trying to give Nkechi Taifa credit for reviving the reparations movement. Child, she ain't lift 2 fingers, but they were giving her credit for it, right? This is the same box that wrote about us in 2019 are writing about her in 2022, talking about she was reviving the reparations movement. Now this is her. Now this is her written testimony. This is her written testimony in Nkechi Taifa before the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution and the Civil Rights. This is her HR 40 testimony. In her HR 40 testimony, I want you to listen to what she says. Regardless, the movement for reparations in the United States continued. In addition, in Cobra and its predecessor, Thrust, there were other groups working with them independently, which consistently held up the banner for reparations. Including among them were the Black Reparations Commissions under the leadership of Dr. Dorothy Lewis, the African National Reparations organization under the auspices of the African People's Socialist Party. That is the same party that just got in trouble. So wait a minute. That is the same party that the Department of Justice just indicted. The group that you are bringing up, the National Black United Front, the leadership of Dr. Conrad Worrell, Mustafa African, these people we ain't never heard of, child. Ain't most of them, not all of them. Listen, the people that you just brought up, this socialist, this African People's Socialist Party, is the same group that just got indicted. So let me pull it together for everybody. She is in her written testimony before Congress giving credit to a group that is now getting indicted for basically traitorous behavior by the Department of Justice. The group that she mentioned and credited for doing reparations work is now being prosecuted as traitors, basically, and collaborating with Russia. That's her written testimony. These people are directly tied with the people that are now in trouble with the Department of Justice. You cannot lead. You cannot vet people. You all are incompetent. Listen, if I was Joe Biden or anybody else, this is a perfect reason for me to say, you know what? Yeah, you ain't getting no reparations. You all are working with groups that are colluding with Russia. You can't give racists a reason. You can't give white supremacy a reason. You have to be above board at all times. You might want to, you know why? And that's why I said what I said. Everybody got to, oh, Yvette, we all got the same lineage. You got to include everybody. No, I don't. Because when you include everybody, you get in a mess like this. You get in a mess where somebody is colluding with Russia and you should have known better. This is not a case where somebody was really good and they had a lot to bring to the table and they were like an academic or something. You know, even though you can't trust them, but they can bring good information to the table. These were people that looked like they wasn't about nothing. You all have never been about anything. This is foolish. And you don't know enough. And you're not disciplined enough to lead this movement. And what you have done now is disqualify yourselves. Nobody should ever work with you again. Your HR 40 testimony to Congress includes a group that is being prosecuted by the Department of Justice for colluding with Russia. What kind of fool are you? Well, you're the kind of fool who just says everybody can be in. Everybody, you know, everybody can, we got to include everybody, and they are revolutionaries and all kind of stuff. Half people call revolutionaries are just real weirdos. I'm sorry. Like in this day and age, I'm not talking about back then, but in this day and age, when I hear somebody call somebody revolutionary, I'm normally going to encounter somebody that's just really weird, who thinks of themselves in a Wakanda kind of way. These people haven't done any work that I can see. I think I said, hey, one time there's a group I just heard of was doing some stuff. I don't know anything about them. And that's the extent of it. But they're not, what work are you giving them credit for that you put them in your congressional testimony? You don't know them, but maybe you do. Maybe you're colluding with Russia too. Maybe we just ain't found you out because y'all all standing in solidarity with them. I'm not standing in solidarity with somebody who's colluding with Russia. I want to see the evidence. I think you're entitled to a fair trial, and to the extent that we can do that, we want to make sure you have that because, you know, you never can tell. Make sure you have a good attorney and let me see how things pan out. I'm not going to put out no statement about standing in solidarity with nobody. What kind of a fool? And your boy Ron Daniels running around with his little bitty hat. You remember him? I just talked about him at the beginning. Well, the ADOS people, they don't know how to behave and they can't lead this. Well, here you go. Ain't they having that conference this week? Ooh, you gotta love how dirty the government is. See, if you know the government, you know they gonna do dirty. That's why they named that helicopter Geronimo. They do all kind of stuff for dirty symbolic reasons. So IBW is having their little conference and stuff, and while they having the conference, the government, the time they're supposed to have this conference, the government released their little indictment on them, on their little friends. And so now you can't just enjoy the conference. You gotta release a statement. Woo, the government ain't playing with you. That's That's why you got to have your ducks in a row and be all about what you're going to do. You can't have no violence. Wait, I don't understand why they can't be here because he came in here with combat boots talking wild. He got to go. Well, Yvette, I don't understand why we just can't. We all the same lineage. I don't care. You're not going to destroy this movement coming in here talking wild and doing stuff and then being desperate. People who are desperate will do all kinds of stuff. You can get a Russian on the phone and say, hey, well, I think we should be on the same side with the Ukraine. Shut up. You got to be able to recognize certain things and exclude people. And Cobra didn't do that. IBW didn't do that. NARC didn't do that. Y'all included people who are now charged with traitor. Let me tell you, ain't nothing right-wing America and white America loves more than being able to say these Negroes are connected with traitors. These Negroes are connected with Russia. And even though it was just this Uhuru people, y'all had to come out to a certain extent and say something because y'all are so connected with them. So you had to come out and put this statement out. Here goes old Ron Daniels group. The Institute of the Black World in the 21st Century. This is such a weird name. The Institute of the Black World 21st Century is alarmed at the recent violent and militaristic attacks by the agents of the U.S. government on the offices in the homes of several members of Uhuru Solidarity Committee and African People's Socialist Party. IBW condemns these unwarranted aggressions and stands. They put this out this week. Not them. I'm talking about the government. When was this put out? I'm trying to see a date on this. No, this was last year when this first happened. I don't think they put one out this week, but the government came the government came for them while they having a conference and came for that and released them things like them. Let me see what the date is when the government released those released the 18th. Tuesday the 18th the government released that stuff. Well, let me ask y'all, when is IBW's conference? Is that happening this week or did it happen last week? Either way, it's too close. Man, the government, they come for you. Yeah, they said the same thing. The raids are illegal. These raids are both illegal and immoral and have sent shockwaves across the U.S. reparations and social justice movement. I didn't get no shockwaves. It didn't send no shockwaves to me. It sent shockwaves to me when I was falsely accused in 2019 and 20 of being a Russian bot. But I didn't get no shockwaves because these people was arrested. It helped me understand, actually, why I had been accused. I was wrongly accused because these are in Cobra and NARC's people who were doing this stuff. It didn't have nothing to do with me. The Uhuru and Uhuru Solidarity movements have a long and successful history of reparations work and serving the black community. The pre-dawn FBI, who cares? Why does everybody always say the pre-dawn raid? Of course, what you want to do? Raid at noon? The pre-dawn FBI raid with flash grenades, battering rams, military weapons, unlawful detentions and seizures of organizational property, etc., reminds us of the dark days of COINTELPRO. This is unacceptable harassment, terrorization, and repression by the U.S. government and its agencies of organizations engaged in peaceful, law-abiding activism. Now, see, here's the thing. It only makes sense. It only makes sense to say that like this is an attack on reparations movements if like they had attacked us as well. Like it doesn't make sense that this is just an attack on reparations. If the leading reparations movement didn't get no smoke, like it might make you think that junk. We might have did some dumb stuff because why not? Like if you had any evidence, you would. If this was just like, listen, when the stuff used to go down, it went down. It went down with everybody. Like if you was trying to do something good, it went down. COINTELPRO was after everybody. If they just got you and y'all little people. They didn't even come and knock in your door, Roy Daniels, when you had your Bengay on, whatever. They didn't bother you. They bothered these people, which lets us know that y'all little crew got some issues. Seems to me like the thing that we're looking at is your little crew has been engaged, might allegedly have been engaged in colluding with Russia. Might have been engaged in the thing that y'all kept accusing us of being engaged in. Oh, ain't it something? This is little Ron Daniel stuff. Right? Global Africans rising. Yeah, let me tell you. So, wait a minute. Their conference is on the 20, message from this is rising 19th to the 23rd. And the government did this junk on the 18th. They said, y'all what? The government grabbed these little Negroes on the 18th and your stuff is on the 19th. Listen, they sent you a message, all right. We ain't putting up with your little collusion. Screw your little conference, whatever you're doing. The government don't play games. You have to be above board. You have to be above board.